Marin Cole was facing a desperate moment in her life, possessing only $6 in her pocket. Her landlord had already called twice that morning demanding rent, and she was currently walking toward a job interview, deeply anxious about how she would manage to survive the coming week. Amidst this heavy stress, her attention was caught by a black leather wallet lying unattended on the sidewalk outside Whitfield Capital. Driven by curiosity, she picked it up and opened it, revealing stacks of $100 bills, an amount of cash far exceeding anything she had ever held in her hands. For a fleeting moment, she entertained the thought of how drastically her difficult life could change if she simply walked away with the money. However, upon checking the identification inside, she saw the name Adrien Whitfield, the billionaire CEO whose face frequently graced magazine covers across the country. Recognizing that the property belonged to someone specific and was not hers to take, she made an immediate and honest decision to return it inside the building. The interior of Whitfield Capital was breathtaking, featuring polished marble floors that reflected the bright morning sunlight, while employees dressed in tailored suits rushed past her in a hurry. Approaching the reception desk with the wallet held securely in both hands, Marin spoke politely to the receptionist, stating that she had found it outside and that it belonged to Mr. Adrien Whitfield. The receptionist blinked in utter astonishment. Within seconds, two security officers stepped forward. One of them opened the wallet just enough to verify the owner's ID, his expression instantly shifting. He informed her that the wallet had been reported missing less than 20 minutes prior and politely requested that she accompany them. Escorted to the executive floor, Marin stepped out into a quiet, serene hallway leading to a pair of elegant wooden doors. An assistant smiled warmly and informed her that Mr. Whitfield was expecting her. Inside the office, Adrien Whitfield stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows looking out over the city. As she stepped forward and gently placed the wallet on his desk, Adrien opened it immediately. To his profound surprise, the cash was completely untouched, the credit cards remained precisely where he left them, and even a cherished family photograph stayed tucked inside. Looking at her with genuine disbelief, he asked why she hadn't taken a single dollar. Marin smiled softly, replying that it never belonged to her. In gratitude, Adrien pulled out several $100 bills and offered them to her. Marin firmly shook her head, explaining that while she appreciated the gesture, she wanted to sleep well that night, knowing she did the right thing, just as she had the night before. This response evoked a genuine, hearty laugh from Adrien. Impressed by her unique character, he placed the money back and asked if she would join him for dinner that evening. After clarifying it was not another reward but a sincere thank you, Marin agreed on the condition that he would not talk about business. An unexpected connection over dinner that evening, Marin arrived slightly early at an elegant restaurant, only to find Adrien stepping out to greet her personally. Seated inside, Adrien handed her the menu, and Marin opted simply for the pasta, remarking that expensive things do not always equate to better experiences, a sentiment Adrien warmly agreed with. To their mutual delight, the conversation flowed with remarkable ease. Instead of discussing corporate stocks or high-stakes business deals, they shared childhood memories. Marin spoke lovingly of her mother, who taught her that a person's character surpasses any bank account, while Adrien reminisced about baking cookies with his grandmother every Sunday afternoon. When dessert was offered, Marin politely declined, noting her mother's golden rule, never take more than you need. As the night concluded, Adrien drove her home, realizing with a start that for 2 entire hours, work hadn't crossed his mind even once. Visits to the neighborhood bakery the following Saturday morning, Marin was busy at work in a cozy neighborhood bakery filled with the rich aromas of fresh bread, butter, and cinnamon. To her surprise, the door chimes rang before 9 in the morning, and Adrien walked in wearing a simple sweater and jeans, blending in like an ordinary customer. He purchased cinnamon rolls and blueberry muffins to share, observing how deeply Marin cared for her community, greeting regular customers by name, asking after an elderly man's doctor appointment, and thoughtfully slipping an extra roll into a customer's bag for his wife's birthday. Watching her, Adrien remarked that she was the exact same genuine person behind the counter as she was when she returned his wallet. Over the ensuing weeks, their bond deepened. They met whenever schedules allowed, sharing quick coffee breaks, brief sidewalk chats, or quiet dinners. One afternoon, while walking near a bookstore, they witnessed an elderly man struggling with heavy grocery bags. Without a moment's hesitation, Marin rushed over to help carry them to his apartment. Observing this act of pure selflessness, Adrien felt an overwhelming admiration for her extraordinary heart. By now, Adrien realized that Marin had fundamentally transformed his perspective on life. His immense wealth could solve practical problems, but it couldn't cure loneliness, something Marin's presence effortlessly healed. Sitting alone in his car one evening, he reached a profound conclusion. He did not just want her in his life temporarily, he wanted a future with her forever. Determined to take the next step, Adrien visited a jewelry store and selected an elegant, timeless ring that mirrored Marin's understated grace. He invited her to his office the following afternoon under the pretense of showing her something important. When Marin arrived at Whitfield Capital and stepped into his office, she spotted the familiar black leather wallet resting on his desk. Laughing playfully, she asked if he had lost it again. Adrien instructed her to open it. Upon opening the wallet, she found the cash and cards gone, replaced by a velvet ring box and a handwritten note. She read the note aloud in her mind. "The best thing I ever found wasn't inside this wallet, it was the woman who returned it. Marin Cole, will you marry me?" Before she could fully process the words, Adrien knelt down before her, holding out the ring, and asked if she would spend her life with him. With tears of joy streaming down her face, Marin answered with an emphatic yes. A happy ending 3 months later, a small, intimate church ceremony brought together their closest family and friends. As Marin walked down the aisle, Adrien looked at her with unwavering love, remembering the exact gentle smile that had captivated him on the day she walked into his office with a lost wallet. Following their wedding, the couple returned to their new home, where Adrien placed the old black leather wallet securely inside a wooden memory box. When Marin asked why he kept it, Adrien replied gently that every time he looked at it, he would be reminded of how one honest decision changed his entire existence. Standing together on their balcony overlooking the twinkling city lights, they embraced, knowing that true love often begins not with grand, complicated gestures, but with a simple, quiet choice to do what is right. As the weeks turned into months, married life brought a profound sense of peace and stability to both of them. Marin continued working part-time at the neighborhood bakery, finding immense joy in the simple routines of baking and connecting with the local community. Adrien frequently stopped by before heading to his corporate office, always making time to share a warm pastry and a quiet moment together, completely unbothered by the bustling world around them. For Adrien, the frantic pace of managing Whitfield Capital no longer defined his entire existence. The boardroom meetings, high-stakes mergers, and financial reports still demanded his expertise, but they no longer consumed his soul. Whenever the pressures of corporate life threatened to overwhelm him, he needed only to look at the woman sitting across from him or glance toward his study where the old black leather wallet rested in its wooden box to remember what truly mattered. An unexpected reunion one afternoon, while Marin was helping run the bakery counter during a particularly busy rush, the door chimed, and a familiar face walked inside. It was Sarah, an old college friend whom Marin hadn't seen in over 3 years. Sarah was now a successful corporate attorney visiting the city for a major legal conference. Surprised and delighted, Marin rushed out from behind the counter to embrace her. Over freshly brewed coffee and warm cinnamon rolls, the two friends caught up on years of lost time. Sarah listened in absolute amazement as Marin recounted how a twist of fate involving a lost wallet had completely rewritten her destiny. "You're telling me you went from counting every single dollar to marrying one of the most powerful CEOs in the country just by doing the right thing?" Sarah asked with a wide, incredulous smile. Marin laughed softly, shaking her head. "It wasn't about who he was, Sarah. When I picked up that wallet, I didn't know he was a billionaire. I just knew it wasn't mine. Money can change your circumstances, but character is what brings real peace." Sarah looked at her friend with deep respect. "Some things never change, Marin. You were always the most grounded person I knew." Later that evening, Adrien arrived home a little earlier than usual. He found Marin sitting on the living room sofa, paging through an old photo album from her childhood. Walking softly behind her, he wrapped his arms around her shoulders and rested his chin against her head. "Everything all right?" he murmured gently, inhaling the familiar scent of vanilla and fresh baking flour that always seemed to follow her. Marin turned slightly and smiled up at him, just thinking about how fast life changes. If I had taken a different bus that morning, or if I had walked down a different street outside Whitfield Capital, we never would have crossed paths. Adrien pulled her closer, his expression turning thoughtful. "I used to believe that success was entirely about control planning every move, outsmarting the market, leaving nothing to chance. But losing that wallet, and meeting you, it taught me that the best things in life are the ones you never saw coming." He reached out, gently turning the page of the photo album. "Besides, I think the universe just knew we needed each other." As twilight settled over the city, casting long shadows across the skyline, Marin and Adrien stood together on their balcony. The twinkling lights of the metropolis stretched out endlessly before them, a dazzling reminder of the vast, fast-paced world they navigated every single day. Yet, standing side by side, hand in hand, they felt miles away from the chaos. They had built a sanctuary out of honesty, mutual respect, and quiet affection, proving that no matter how wealthy or ordinary one might be, true happiness is found in the simple choice to care for one another. With a gentle smile, Adrien kissed the top of Marin's head. "Ready for dinner?" "Always," she replied, leaning her weight against his shoulder as they turned back inside, ready to write the many chapters still waiting for them. Thank you so much for watching today's story. If this video touched your heart, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Solo Dad Stories for more touching tales about family, dignity, and second chances. Let us know in the comments below which moment stayed with you the most. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.